I honestly don't think having kids is worth it anymore.
Mr. Reddit.
Everyone always talks about how fulfilling it is to have kids, but from what I see, it just seems like an endless cycle of stress, sacrifice, and barely keeping your head above water. I'm in my late 20s, and most of my friends with kids are either exhausted, broke, or regretting how much they gave up for a life that doesn't even feel like their own anymore. Meanwhile, the ones who chose not to have kids are traveling, pursuing passions, and genuinely seem happier. I get it, kids can be a source of joy, but I don't think that joy outweighs the struggles anymore, not in this economy, not in this world. People call it selfish, but I think it's more selfish to bring kids into a life where you can't give them 100%. It's hard to say this out loud because it's such a taboo opinion, but I'm tired of pretending like everyone's life path has to look the same. For me, I just don't see the appeal anymore.
To fool by finishing before clothes even came off. I, 28 am a kissless virgin. No hand-holding, no hugs that lasted longer than a couple seconds, nothing. I've spent my entire adult life either too shy or too awkward to pursue anything resembling romance. Though, I've been dating this absolutely stunning woman, 26F, for the past 2 months. She's sweet, funny, and way too good for me. Like, she's dating down into the earth's crust levels of too good for me and I love her. I don't know why she would want me in the first place, but I definitely fumbled it now. Last night, we were at her place, having what I thought was a casual movie night. But then the vibe shifted. She cuddled up to me, was laughing a little harder at my terrible jokes. And then, it happened. She asked me if I wanted a kiss and I nodded. She leaned in then, and did it. My first ever kiss, my brain went into complete meltdown mode. She kept kissing me, and even got on my lap. After a minute or two of kissing like this, she stroked the hair on the back of my head and that did it for me. It was embarrassing, it wasn't subtle, either. No, maybe she didn't notice. She probably felt it since she was straddling my lap. There was absolutely no hiding it. She froze mid-kiss and I felt her kinda smile. She was probably about to laugh at me. I panicked. I stammered something incomprehensible, grabbed my jacket, and bolted. I spent the rest of the night lying in bed. Staring at the ceiling, wondering why I was born, she actually texted me. Probably making fun of me or saying that she doesn't want to see me again. I haven't opened it. I can't. I'm so fucking humiliated. What am I supposed to say? Sorry, I finished in my pants because I got overwhelmed by a kiss? I can't even think about it without wanting to disappear into a black hole. I've probably ruined everything, and she's probably laughing about this with her friends now.
Waiter put my tip back on the table saying he only accepts 18 to 20%? So I went out with my buddies for a nice dinner last night and it was great. Except when the check came, the bill was $197.96 and I tipped this guy $25. $25 is a lot to some people for a tip and I think it was more than fair for an hour dinner. Next thing I know, he puts it back on the table saying he only accepts 18 to 20%. I thought, what the hell, I'm not obligated to tip, and I felt very disrespected. Like, if I'm gonna give you free money then just take it, don't ask for more. Tipping culture has gotten out of hand and I wonder if I'm overreacting here.
To fool by joking about getting a handy from my partner's roommate. So last Saturday, I, 32M, went out to lunch with a friend of mine, Jack, 32M. We've known each other since college, and have the same sense of humor, so we tend to be a little loud whenever we're joking in public. Jack asked to get lunch because he knew my partner, Naomi, 29F, was out of town for a conference and I would be free. We went to lunch at a quiet diner near me. At the start of the meal, we were chatting a bit before he said something along the lines of, "I'm glad we could have some guy time while Naomi is away." I replied by cartoonishly looking side to side, and telling him, "Yeah, it's been good. But I need to tell you something. Last night, and I don't know how to say this. Naomi's roommate gave me a handjob." Jack started to laugh, but before either of us could say else, I felt cold water being splashed on the back of my head. I turned around and saw a 20-something-year-old woman staring daggers at me. I guess she was paying up at a nearby table, and overheard. She had an empty glass in her hand that she had clearly picked up at an unused table that she had splashed at me. She shouted that I was trash, absolute trash, before storming out. I just sat there completely in shock as Jack kept laughing. The thing that I knew, and that Jack knew, but clearly this woman didn't know, I am Naomi's roommate. We live together, just the two of us. The joke was that I was masturbating. Now Jack is pissing himself and won't stop calling me trash, absolute trash, like it's a military title. I know Naomi will find it hilarious too, but I'm worried I'm going to run into this pissed off woman again at or near the diner. There is now someone, who might be living in my neighborhood, that I can run into at any point who hates me, all because of a dumb joke.
My 28F boyfriend, 30M, erased the whiteboard I had my novel timeline on. 3 years. I have been working on a novel for about a year. I write every day, even just a sentence. 6 months ago my college switched to smartboards and put all their whiteboards in the garbage. I grabbed two because I have a huge wall space open in my living room. Most of my writing is done on my Google Drive, but I have things like character personalities, names, places, a general timeline, etc. You know, stuff I want to remember. I used to take photos of it so I had my ideas with me. I used to write on my lunch break. I stopped doing that because I burn myself out and my writing quality takes a huge dive. Plus my boyfriend helps me write and it helps us connect in such a deep way. So I haven't taken a photo in about 3 months. The whiteboards are nice because I can read my notes across the room while I'm sitting in my favorite chair. I got home last night and all of my stuff was erased. It was all train of thought, like I'd come home and jot something down. Handwriting is way more cathartic for me. I had sketches of things in the novel. I'd basically have to go through and remember every single thing on it. I have a lot of it stored in my head or on my Google Drive, but there are some things I'll never get back, but it's the fact he erased it. We don't live together. He told me I've been focusing too much on it and have no time for him. We hang out at my house 5-6 nights a week. I write while he plays video games. It's a good dynamic and I thought we enjoyed it. We are always laughing and he helps me with my wording and I Google stuff to help him in his game. This is the first time he's mentioned it bothering him. If he had brought it up, we could have talked about it. But he went nuclear and I have no idea why. I don't know what to do. I'm so frustrated. We have had one serious argument over his driving. He got better. My family took him on vacation a few weeks ago. We watch his nephew all the time. His family paid for my entire spring semester. We are so much a part of each other's lives and I feel so hurt and heartbroken. He's my muse and just the other day we went to TH Jewelry Store to look at rings. My feelings rotate between rage, sadness, confusion, sorrow, anger, everything. How do I even approach this? Last night I was so upset I asked him to leave. He hasn't texted. He hasn't called. He hasn't stopped by. I keep typing in questions to ask but I keep erasing them. Why did you do it? Are you unhappy with our relationship? What did I do? I'm even more heartbroken due to the fact he hasn't called or texted all day. I'm afraid to call him. I don't want to hear him say he thinks we should break up, or he doesn't want to be with me when I'm writing. Or just ignore my call.
Left some volatile gummy bears on the desk. Now my coworker wants to sue me. This is in Michigan. I am originally from Germany and very unsure how the law works in the United States, so bear with me. Last year I received a job offer to work as an assistant professor in the German language department at a large university in Michigan. I recently finished my PhD and was really excited to fill a research position, and possible postdoc position, in the specific field I applied to. Most of my time I give classes in German literature, but additionally the university would like me to help students with writer's block, so I joined an interdisciplinary workshop. There are at least 4 people connected to this workshop and we get along fine most of the time. Sadly there is one elderly woman who made me out as a rival day one. I do not know what provoked her, but there is something about me that makes her mad. Cue the incident. I had an appointment with a student, gave him some tips and instructions and left my bowl with gummy bears on the desk. Mind you, these gummy bears are sugar-free and volatile. If you eat more than a handful you are in serious fart troubles and you will occupy the toilet bowl for the rest of your day. But my coworker ate the whole bowl. First she excused herself from any commitments and then she called in sick. The next day she confronted me and blamed me for the whole ordeal, that I deliberately placed those gummy bears and it was all a ploy to humiliate her. According to her she has already informed HR and her lawyer and that I will be kicked out of the country in no time. The only thing I can blame myself on is that me and my colleagues giggled at her bowel distress signals.
My 29M cousin, 34M, is acting increasingly inappropriate with my wife and mother of my 2 kids, 28F, who used to strip, sent her a love letter. 8 years ago, my cousin Joe was getting married. He invited me to his bachelor party. It was me and a bunch of his weird friends I was uncomfortable around. I spent the whole night nursing a beer waiting for it to end. Towards the end of the night, his best man, whose name I can't even remember, had 2 strippers come. I hated the idea, so I continued to nurse the beer while the girls entertained them. A week later, while I was at the gym, a pretty girl I couldn't quite place comes up to me and starts making small talk. I ask how I know her and she says she was the entertainment at a party I was at. I was surprised by how different she looked compared to that night. Long story short, I end up asking her out. Her fake name is going to be Audrey. It turns out Audrey'd only been stripping for a few months. I believed her, but her friends have confirmed it, and she ends up quitting a few weeks after we start dating. I was clearly uncomfortable with it, and she didn't really like it. She's never been ashamed about it, but we haven't told anyone in our family about it, and Joe kept his mouth shut because I asked him to. She's still friends with some girls who still strip, and I think that some of my friends put 2 and 2 together but haven't been rude or anything, just made the usual I'm jealous jokes. Anyways, we've had 2 great kids, a son, 5, and a daughter, 3, and we're thinking about having 1 or 2 more. Joe's always been super quiet around Audrey, probably because of how they met, until recently, after his divorce. He started complimenting my wife's physical appearance, like every time he sees her. I've told him to lay off, but he hasn't so far. One incident in particular where he said something about kids not ruining her figure really pissed me off, and I bowed up on him and he apologized saying he was drunk. We were at a family barbecue. I calmed down and realized I wasn't going to beat his ass in front of my whole extended family and my kids. I told him not to talk my wife again. This has really come to a head where he sent my wife a love letter asking her to leave me and start a life with him. She sent a reply email just saying no thank you. What do I do here? I love my family, I love my extended family. And I want her to be comfortable around them, and she can't be with Joe there. Audrey doesn't want me to tell my family he's making her uncomfortable, because she's afraid Joe will let out the fact that she used to be a stripper. I told her I'd be okay with it, but she's pretty adamant on not wanting them to know. Another thing, Joe hasn't done anything that would require legal action. He'd been acting like a teenager with a crush, and my wife admitted that she doesn't feel like she's in any kind of danger. I told her that we need to watch him carefully, but I don't know if there is much we can do on this front. My wife has just been terrified he's going to tell my family. I've been there for her the best I can. She's afraid that one day our kids could find out if the whole family learns. I would love advice on this whole horrible situation.
To fool by thinking I could multitask like a pro. So, today I learned that I am not the multitasking wizard I thought I was. The day started innocently enough. I was making lunch while also trying to catch up on work emails. As I waited for the pasta to boil, I thought, hey, I can squeeze in a few emails. So I grabbed my laptop and sat at the kitchen counter. One email led to another, and before I knew it, I was deep in a passive-aggressive thread about a missed deadline. A ping on my phone interrupted me. My friend had sent me a meme, and I couldn't resist checking it out. While I was laughing at a video of a cat knocking over a vase, I smelled something odd. Yep, I had forgotten about the pasta. I rushed to the stove to find a bubbling pot of chaos. Water had boiled over, extinguishing the flame, leaving my noodles half-cooked in a sad puddle of lukewarm water. I panicked and tried to salvage it by turning the burner back on, only to accidentally knock my phone off the counter. It fell right into the open dishwasher. At this point, I was a sweaty, frazzled mess. The pasta was unsalvageable, the phone was fine, thankfully, but the kitchen looked like a war zone. I ended up ordering takeout and eating it with a side of regret. Lesson learned, I am not a multitasking guru, and I should probably focus on one thing at a time. Or, at the very least, set a timer when boiling pasta. The only thing I accomplished today was turning a simple lunch into a minor catastrophe. Cheers to small victories, I guess.
To fool by going to the wrong store to pick up my groceries. We have 2 Walmarts in my area. The good one, located only about 5 minutes from my house, and the not so great one, located 20 minutes from my house, and the one I rarely go to, because I have no reason to go all the way out there. Anyway, this morning I put in a fairly large, but standard for me, order online to be picked up after work that. It ended up being about 45 items, and was a little over $200. I set it up to be ready between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. today. At a little after 2 p.m., I get the notice my order is ready. Great. I get off work at 3 p.m., and my local Walmart is even closer to my work than it is my house. I'll swing by right after work and pick up my order, right before I leave work. I get on the app and click the I'm on my way tab so they can be ready for me. I leave work, drive the few minutes to the store, find one of the spots to park on the pickup area and click on I'm here and then put on I'm install number 8. This is at 3:10 p.m., and then I wait. It's very busy. There are literally 20 cars that had been parked ahead of me, who are also waiting for their orders, but it seems to be moving along pretty well. People are starting to leave. But then I notice, people who are coming in after me are starting to get their groceries before me. And there I am, still waiting. At 3:45 p.m., one of the people gets close enough for me to flag him down. I told him I'd been waiting about 30 minutes and haven't gotten my order yet. He takes my name and told me he'll get my order. A few minutes after that, a guy comes over to me holding nothing more than a little handheld scanner. They can't find my name or my order. Crap, he asks me if I'm sure I'm at the right one. I was sure, because I always go to this one. I've never picked up an order at the other one. But I wasn't at the right one. I clicked on the order details screen and right there it gave me the address of the other one. By this time it's almost 4 p.m. I drove like a bat out of hell, all the way across town to go to the other one. Then I had to call them and explain what happened, because I'd already checked in. He told me they'd already put the items back in the coolers, so it will be a bit. They brought it out within minutes and I managed to get home a little before 4:30 p.m.
Thank you all for watching. If you are interested, subscribe and watch other videos.